The story was already the stuff of a Hollywood thriller. A traveling college student disappears from a derelict hotel with a sordid past. Creepy surveillance footage taken shortly before her disappearance shows her behaving bizarrely.
Bizarre surveillance footage of 21-year-old Elisa Lamb.
But when her body is found under inexplicable circumstances, the mystery takes a sudden turn into the Twilight Zone.
A grim discovery at a downtown LA hotel.
Police found her body in a hotel water tank.
There are things that do just really seem odd.
It's just very strange.
From a horror flick with an eerily similar plotline to a tuberculosis outbreak and advanced government technology, prepare to cross the threshold into the unknown as we investigate the enigmatic case of Elisa Lamb. She was young, intelligent, and charming, and what she was doing at a place like this was anyone's guess. The Cecil had its day, sure, but that was 70-something years ago, and to say the place had seen better days would be an understatement. Built in the grand style of the Roaring '20s, the hotel originally catered to traveling businessmen and downtown tourists. But through the years, it had become the home of vagrants, drug addicts, and criminals, as well as the location of numerous suicides and murders. At least 16 people had met their fate in unnatural ways at the Cecil. LA's most famous unsolved murder victim, Elizabeth Short, the illustrious Black Dahlia, used to frequent the hotel. Satanic serial killer Richard Ramirez made the Cecil home, disposing of his bloody clothes in the darkened dumpster behind the building at night. Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger also stayed there during his LA killing spree. All of this earned the hotel its status as one of the most haunted buildings in LA, and being situated near the city's infamous Skid Row didn't help either. It was the last place you would expect to find a traveling University of British Columbia student like Elisa Lamb. The 21-year-old Vancouver resident checked into the Cecil Hotel on January 26, 2013, where she was originally booked into a shared room. But after complaints from Lamb's roommates, she was moved to a single. 5 days later, on January 31st, the day she was supposed to check out, Elisa disappeared. Her worried parents reported her missing after failing to contact their daughter.
21-year-old Elisa Lamb never checked out of her LA hotel, and she was traveling alone.
There certainly are a number of things that do just really seem odd. In fact, they were describing it on the local news as an odd disappearance.
Her disappearance generated some initial media attention, but no real leads. 2 weeks go by. Then, just as the case had begun to seem forgotten, the Los Angeles Police Department released 4 minutes of hotel surveillance footage showing Elisa in the elevator prior to her disappearance. It is the last known sighting of her alive.
New development now in the search for a woman missing in California. The LAPD has released bizarre surveillance footage of 21-year-old Elisa Lamb.
The grainy elevator footage shows her entering and proceeding to press several buttons on the panel. The elevator door, however, does not move, remaining ominously open. She thrusts her head out of the elevator door as if to catch someone outside, but there is no one visible. After returning to the elevator, she appears to be hiding in the corner. She then exits the elevator in a strange fashion and begins behaving unnaturally. After some time in the hallway, she re-enters the elevator and begins desperately pressing buttons on the panel. She again exits the elevator and begins feeling around in the air with her arms outstretched, as if interacting with some unseen being. Although she repeatedly pressed buttons to select a floor, the elevator door never moves until after Elisa has left the area, as if it had a will of its own or was being controlled by some outside force. What provoked her bizarre behavior? Was she drugged, manic, possessed? Theories ranged from the mundane to the paranormal. Some researchers who analyzed the video came to the conclusion that it had been manipulated. They believe parts were removed and/or slowed down. They based this conclusion on an apparent jump in the timestamp of the video. The LAPD denies that the footage was edited. If the tape was edited before being shown to the public, why? Others queried why the LAPD released the tape in the first place. At the time of its release, Elisa was still a missing person, one of the many in Los Angeles, and the footage did little to help identify her to the public. Furthermore, why is this strange elevator tape the only video we have of Elisa? It isn't the only footage of Elisa in the hotel that day. Here, the mystery deepens. According to the LAPD, a camera in the lobby captured Elisa meeting with two men who gave her a box. No further details about the encounter were ever disclosed, and the security footage was never released to the public. Who were the men, and what were the contents of the mysterious box? Why did the police not follow up on this lead? As the unanswered questions continued to pile up, the creepy CCTV footage went viral online, and international reporters descended on LA to cover the strange case. Bloggers, journalists, and armchair investigators all had their own theories as to what might have happened to Miss Lamb, but none of them could predict what was coming next. Guests staying at the Cecil had begun to complain of dark-colored, foul-tasting water. Finally, a maintenance worker, Santiago Lopez, was sent to the roof to check the water tanks on the top of the building. After opening a locked door on the 15th floor and triggering an alarm, he proceeded to use a ladder to climb up and open the locked tank. Lifting the heavy lid, he made a gruesome discovery. Inside was the naked body of Elisa Lamb. Residents and guests of the Cecil had been bathing in and drinking the water for weeks.
The body of the 21-year-old Elisa Lamb was found in the water tank of a Skid Row hotel.
And that's just raised even more questions.
Rescue workers were forced to cut a hole in the side of the tank to retrieve her body. How she ended up there is still a mystery. How could Elisa have gained access to the rooftop in the first place? The entry to the roof is locked and has an alarm that alerts hotel security. Nevertheless, the LA coroners ruled Elisa's death an accidental drowning. No other person has been identified as being involved with her death.
It stretches believability that a young Canadian tourist could accidentally end up dead inside a water tank at the top of an LA hotel.
Investigators did a thorough search of the hotel, including the rooftop area, 3 weeks ago, and they used search dogs to do it. Also, the only way to the roof is through a locked and alarmed door that only employees have a key to. That, or you can use the fire escape.
Reporters interviewing those at the Cecil discovered there had been flooding on the 4th floor shortly after Elisa went missing, And one resident claims to have heard an explosion coming from the rooftop that shook his room.
At least one resident says he heard some kind of a loud noise or explosion coming from the rooftop area the day before the woman was reported missing.
Forceful that I fell out of bed. All right? Then the following day, the water system was all plugged up.
So what strange fate did the young college student meet? What are we to make of the bizarre elevator footage? What was in the mysterious box she was given on the day of her disappearance? And how did she end up inside the hotel water tank? From here, the story gets even more bizarre. Shortly after Elisa's body was recovered, a tuberculosis outbreak swept through the nearby Skid Row area. In response, the CDC dispatched a team of infectious disease specialists to Los Angeles to curtail the spread. One of the tests they administered was named, get this, the Elisa test. The same name in reverse as our victim, Elisa Lam. The test's name is an acronym, and the test itself has been used for nearly a decade. There's no way the two could possibly have anything to do with one another, and yet somehow they coincided. A strange synchronicity? Maybe, but as we'll see, it's just one of the many that haunt this unnerving case. In 2002, when Elisa Lam was only 10 years old, a Japanese horror film named Dark Water was released to great success and remade in the US. The film eerily mirrors Elisa's strange case in so many ways it seems impossible. The movie centers around a missing girl who is later found inside the rooftop water tank of a dilapidated apartment building. In both the horror movie and real-life case of Elisa Lam, the decomposing body causes the building's water supply to become discolored and off-putting.
Water from the tap, something the Cecil Hotel doesn't want you to see.
CCTV elevator footage plays a prominent role in both the Japanese and American versions of the movie. The camera is even positioned in the same angle in both the movies and the Cecil Hotel footage released by the LAPD. Both films feature flooding in the building. Cecil residents reported flooding shortly after Elisa went missing. The red jacket Elisa wore in the elevator footage matches the raincoat worn by the girls in the movie. In the 2005 American version, the mother's name is Dahlia. The Black Dahlia is forever associated with the historic Cecil Hotel in LA. The girl in the Dark Water movie is named Cecilia.
Hi everybody, I'm Cecilia. Huh?
Cecilia is the female version of the name Cecil. Is all of this just a strange case of life-mimicking art, or could there be something more at play? The American version of Dark Water is a very occult film, full of symbolism, subliminal imagery, and disturbing themes. It is distributed by Buena Vista Pictures, which is owned by none other than Disney. But the eerie coincidences continue from there. On the day of her disappearance, Elisa shopped at a bookstore called The Last Bookstore. It was one of the final places she was seen alive.
She was very outgoing, very lively, very friendly.
Orphan is the manager of a bookstore around the corner from the hotel called The Last Bookstore, one of the last places Lam was seen by anyone.
Talking about what book she was getting and whether or not what she was getting would be too heavy for her to carry around as she traveled or take home with her.
Internet sleuths tracked down the IP registration for the bookstore's website, which uses a registrant privacy service. The address listed for that service is in Burnaby, Canada, the very suburb of Vancouver where Elisa Lam was from. And get this, when the address was input into Google Maps, the location came up as being inside Forest Lawn Cemetery. the very cemetery where Elisa Lam is interred. How could this possibly be? At this point, the eerie synchronicities engulf the case in ways that simply cannot be explained. When you add up all of the inexplicable circumstances and impossible coincidences surrounding this story, one can't help but get the persistent notion that whatever happened to Elisa was somehow planned and orchestrated. Is it possible there is a ritualistic component behind Elisa's bizarre fate? If so, why the Cecil? There are quite a few reasons why the Cecil Hotel might be chosen as a location for high-level occult rituals. Satanists prefer a place with an abundance of dark energy. Aleister Crowley wrote concerning the best place to perform a ritual, saying,
"The consideration for the proper place of such an operation gave rise to much mental labor. It is, generally speaking, desirable to choose the locality of a recent battle, and the greater the number of slain, the better."
Along with the inordinate number of serial killers who called the building home, the hotel has also been known as a hotbed of suicides and unsolved murders, some very gruesome. All of this makes the location a perfect place for black magic rituals. A fact that surely wasn't missed on Richard Ramirez during his stay on the 15th floor. But the dark energy that permeates the building dates back to its very inception. The Cecil Hotel was actually modeled after a much older hotel in London by the same name. Built by the influential Cecil family, the hotel was frequented by London's Luciferian elite, and even included its own Masonic lodge. For a time, it was the home of Aleister Crowley, who infamously claimed to have conjured an entity he called Lamb, spelled the same as Elisa's last name.
"Lamb, thou voice of the silence, cliff of Huapakrat, I evoke thee, I evoke thee."
Was her trip to the City of Angels but the first in a series of long-planned steps, ultimately leading to her own demise? Have you ever wondered what goes into making one of these documentaries? Well, then you'll love my new behind-the-scenes feature, only available to Patreon supporters. In it, you will see every step of the process, from rough drafts of the script to recording and editing. So head on over to Patreon to become an insider now. But what are we to make of the haunting surveillance footage showing Elisa behaving bizarrely and seeming to interact with some unseen being in the final moments before her disappearance? The autopsy revealed no drugs in her system, which might account for such behavior. But researchers found an interesting clue among Elisa's social media posts. Prior to her trip to California, Elisa shared an article on Twitter about an advanced cloaking device being developed by military contractors. This invisibility cloak allowed the wearer to become totally invisible to others. Invisibility. The power has been sought after since time immemorial. 16th century Japanese initiates of the ancient art of ninjutsu developed legendary methods of camouflage that allowed them to infiltrate the most guarded fortresses undetected, earning them the nickname Stealth Warriors. Today, 21st century stealth technology allows modern warriors what ninjas could only dream of: literal invisibility. Enter the 2020 blockbuster Invisible Man, based on the science fiction novel by H.G. Wells. In it, a woman is tormented by her abusive ex-boyfriend, a sociopathic billionaire with access to a secret experimental invisibility suit. While the movie may be science fiction, in reality, the military has been developing such technology for decades.
This is amazing. Once thought to be impossible, and now it's done in the laboratory.
All right, this could go in so many different directions. I mean, you could go, this could be bad. You could have people spying on our top intel agents at the Pentagon and elsewhere.
Also, you could evade your boss, too, you know, so he can't spy on you.
Yeah, or you could spy on your boyfriend if you were so inclined.
Oh, well, that's true, too.
According to an expert interviewed by CNN in 2013, quote, "What's coming up very soon is the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter." That was in 2013.
But developers already have one eye on tomorrow.
What's coming up down the road and very quickly is the Harry Potter cloak.
How invisible are we talking here? If I walked into a room with a soldier wearing one of these cloaks?
You wouldn't see him at all. He would be completely invisible to you.
If the military was openly teasing such technology back then, what achievements might they have quietly made since? It is widely understood among alternative researchers that advanced government technology is roughly 30 years ahead of what is currently available to the general public. February 2013, 1 month after Elisa's death. A strange video begins circulating online claiming to have been leaked by Iraqi insurgents intending to film an IED explosion. What they apparently caught was much more intriguing. It depicts an American soldier who appears to be wearing a type of cloaking technology that transforms his appearance into that of a moving blur, similar to what is depicted in the Predator movies. Is it possible that the invisible force Elisa appears to be interacting with on the mysterious elevator footage was someone wearing an invisibility suit? The idea may not be as far-fetched as it sounds. If there was someone outside the elevator pressing the door hold button, it would explain why the elevator didn't move. It would also explain why Elisa then exited the elevator in a strange manner, as if expecting to catch someone standing outside. And why she kept groping around in the air with her hands outward. And here's where the story takes yet another intriguing turn. At the time of Elisa's visit, there was a company cryptically named the Invisible Light Agency, whose address was listed as being at the Cecil Hotel. The Invisible Light Agency specialized in visual effects, the type that might be needed for the development of cloaking technology. Information about the Invisible Light Agency appears to have been scrubbed from the net, with the only remaining image associated with it being this strange pyramid logo. But researchers managed to find an article about the company that names an employee by the name of Anthony Vu. Anthony Vu's LinkedIn shows that after he worked for the Invisible Light Agency, he went on to work for Raytheon, one of the largest military contractors. The same company that has developed various non-lethal weaponry capable of being used on civilians. Deeper research turned up articles from 2009 that revealed Raytheon was heavily involved in the production of advanced invisibility technology at the time. And a curious term kept showing up in the articles related to the development of such technology: visible light. Could this be the inspiration for the name of the Invisible Light Agency? But what would the Invisible Light Agency be doing at a place like the Cecil? Actually, the hotel would be the perfect place to experiment with invisibility technology. The place is rumored to be haunted, so reports of invisible forces would only add to the building's reputation, and anyone who insisted otherwise would simply be dismissed as one of the many drug users and transients who frequented the establishment. Elisa tweeted about a Harry Potter-style invisibility cloak being developed by the government, and ended up being tormented by an invisible opponent prior to her inexplicable demise. Is this just yet another coincidence? In many ways, it is an unsolved mystery tailor-made for the social media era, complete with a viral video and its own creepypasta fanfiction. But what really happened to Elisa Lam? What are we really seeing in the chilling elevator video? How did she get onto the roof and somehow into the opening of the water tank? What was in the mysterious box she was given? Thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up and hit the bell. Also, I want to give a special dedication to the Patreon insiders who helped make this video possible. Thank you. Have you ever wondered what goes into making one of these documentaries? Well, then you'll love my new behind the scenes feature, only available to Patreon supporters. In it, you will see every step of the process, from rough drafts of the script to recording and editing. So head on over to Patreon to become an insider now.